Welcome to the May edition of the Design Review Committee meeting. If you kindly join me in the pledge to the flag.
Where'd it go? There.
All right.
And move.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have two excused absences. Chris and Ben aren't here, but we do have a quorum. And the posting of this agenda has been accomplished by way of a posting on the San Marino City Hall, the Public Library, the Recreation Department, and of course on the San Marino website. For those of you here for the first time, I'm going to very briefly go through the process. What we do is we call the matters in the order that they appear on the agenda. We would ask the staff to give us a brief summary of the application. We've all been out there. We've all seen the application. We've read the papers that you have submitted. So we're very familiar with everything with regard to the application. Once we have the staff's report, we would then ask for the applicant or the applicant's representative to step forward and just be available to answer questions or just highlight some of the major points that they wish to make. You don't have to go through an entire exercise of explaining the application as if we've never seen it, because we have. And then we would ask if anyone wishes to speak for or against or about the proposal, close the public hearing after that, and then I would ask each of the members of the committee their points of view on it, briefly discuss, and see if there is a motion to approve or a motion to deny. Under that circumstance, if there is an approval, there is a 15-day appeal period, and so you have to let that 15 days go by before you're absolutely sure that maybe one of your neighbors is not going to take it up to the Planning Commission and thereafter the City Council. Likewise, if it is denied, there is an appeal period where you can take it up to the Planning Commission and thereafter the City Council. When it is approved, it becomes essentially the law of the construction that is going to happen. And by that I mean the application with any conditions, you're locked into that. It's not a jumping off period to do something different. Be very aware that we have in the past asked people or actually denied a request for an entirely different scenario that was set up that varied from the application and cost tens of thousands of dollars to the applicant. So be very aware that what you're submitting, you have to build in a nutshell. All right, with that, let me ask you, is there anyone here to speak about matters that are not on the agenda, public comment? Okay, not seeing that, let's move on right away to the first item on the agenda, and may we have a staff report on that, please?
Thank you, Chair. Item number 1 is modification to case number DRC 14-45, located at 2131 South Oak Knoll Avenue. And the applicant is requesting to modify the previously approved roofing product to a floral two-piece mission clay tile in the Carmel blend color. This is a product that is not on the city's pre-approved list. Staff finds that the proposed selection would not be a suitable choice for the project, as it would produce a more contemporary appearance than what was originally intended for the approved design. The previously approved roofing product was a French terracotta tile roof in a red blend color, which is more in keeping with the overall design atmosphere of the legal neighborhood. Staff is not able to support the project at this time.
Okay, do we have any questions for staff on this? Okay, not seeing any. Is the applicant or applicant's representative present?
Yes.
Please. Just state your name and address, and if you want to highlight something. If you keep your cell phone on, we can confiscate it. And do horrible things to you. So please shut it off. Actually, in Superior Court, it's a $250 fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Adele Chang. I'm with LCRA Architects for the architects for the project. Do you need my address?
Just the business address.
35 Hugus Alley, Suite 220, Pasadena, California. So this project was approved quite a few years ago, I think around 5 years ago. And at that time, a color board was submitted by the then design-build contractor who hired us to do the architecture. And they were the ones who selected the materials and so forth. In fact, we never prepared the material board. But at the time, what they had called out for and got approved are actually a choice of reclaimed French terracotta roof tiles or reclaimed Italian barrel tiles. And these are supposedly tiles taken off old houses in Europe. And since that time, our clients have actually been to Europe to try to look for such tiles. And what they have found is not only batches of tiles that are irregular, off with a large percentage of breakage, and oftentimes when you turn the tiles over, there's fungus growing on them, and they were uncomfortable with what they saw. And the house, if you've been there, you can see it's being built to a very high quality, and that the beautiful windows and doors are now in, and this type of reclaimed tile didn't meet their standards. So what they have proposed is also a two-piece mission tile, but in what is called a caramel blend, which is a little bit more buff in color. And we believe it goes well with the full limestone exterior. And we would like to respectfully ask for approval for several reasons. One, the Boral tile, U.S. tile, is made in the southwest of the United States. So we will support the local economy and also create a much smaller carbon footprint than shipping it all the way from Europe, number one. And two, the tile, as it will be installed, is really not visible from the street because we have a full two-story front elevation, and all you end up seeing is the edges of the tile because, like most Mediterranean-style roofs, it's a very shallow pitch. That is typical of Mediterranean houses, Italian or French Mediterranean. And because of the shallow pitch, it really is not visible unless you are flying a drone or in a helicopter or something. So we, for these reasons, respectfully ask for your positive consideration.
Any questions?
I think she had one. I have one.
No?
When you look at the house, do you consider the style that Saxony Design Build put together to be Mediterranean, Italianate, French? Because it's a mixture of styles. What do you consider the style to be?
I think it is a California interpretation of a Mediterranean style. It certainly has many Italian elements with the arches and so forth. And it's Mediterranean in that you probably saw we have deeply recessed windows, so that suggests the mass of a masonry building, even though of course it's not masonry. So it really has those elements, and it's more Italian than French. And if we say French, it would really be Provençal, kind of southern France with the shallow roof pitches and so forth.
Just for some clarity, is the tile barrel tile?
Yes, it's barrel, two-piece barrel tile.
Do you have a color chip of the intended home color for presumably the finish of the The building itself?
The building, it will be a limestone. All we have here is, because the original color board is already lost, all we have is sort of a color print. It is a, do you have?
Yeah, we have a copy. So
Yeah,
that's the entire facade is clad in this limestone?
Yes.
Are your clients do they object to a typical red colored tile? Is there a I mean, we are all at the site and we all saw the tiles, and I'm just curious, is there a specific reason why a red tile, typical of what you find in the street, would not work with this architecture? Or is it just simply a preference, or is it to stay true to what architectural style you just stated?
Well, when tiles are brand new, they are red. And as they age over time, they change color. And if you even look at these in the picture, you can see that there's very little red left. And it is in more brown tones than not. I mean, these are marketing type pictures, so they may have put a little bit of red there, but actually as the tiles get older, they do change color.
Right. No, I understand that. I mean, and to your point, a naturally faded tile that's been weathered is, in my opinion, much more beautiful and attractive than a manufactured color that's made to look faded or darkened. So, again, I just asked a question specific to the design. Is it integral to have the tan color versus a typical red terracotta color?
Given that this is a California interpretation, I mean, even Wallace Knopf's are just California interpretations of his travels to
Right.
right? So because of that, I think that if we're trying to suggest the aged appearance, that this can be consistent.
So are the tiles that are currently on the property loaded up on the roof the proposed?
Yes,
And presumably they've been purchased already?
yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Any other questions, folks? All right, thank you very much. And not hearing anyone here speaking for, against, or about this proposal? Not seeing any hands raised. We'll close the public aspect of the hearing, begin with Judy. What's your thoughts?
Well, we've all been out to the property, and we all are very familiar with what the guidelines for San Marino include. And traditionally, it is true, as the staff report indicates, that in the city of San Marino, Mediterranean and Spanish-style homes with a two-piece mission clay are often in the approved color of red. I would say, however, I have a slightly different point of view based on my own personal findings. So I do believe that although there is nothing else like this in the neighborhood, the legal neighborhood, or on the actual street itself, there is no other home quite like this house either. You put obviously a lot of time and energy into the design of this home, and it is a beautiful house as well designed. So I think that the other thing is I do think that the coloration, although not the norm of what's approved in the city or on an approved list, does match or is consistent with the house itself. With the materials that you have already talked about this evening, that you've already purchased in terms of the limestone cladding, this roof probably would look better with that than, frankly, a bold red. I would probably say no to this tonight if it was a Spanish house, but it's not. It's Mediterranean, and I think it is an interpretation, and I think the materials are high-end. And although I may be the only person here tonight, I could approve it as is.
Thank you. Kevin?
I was struggling because at the time I was visiting, the sun was basically around this time or a little bit higher up, and so it was directly shining on the tiles that are preloaded up on the roof right now. And so, interesting enough, at different angles, I got different colorations. At certain points it was more brown and tan, at certain other points it kind of had hues of dark kind of red amber type tone. Considering the limestone cladding, I would agree with my colleague Judy. My colleague Judy, that the roof would work in this instance, and she notably pointed out that this is not a typical Spanish style home, which would probably call for a typical terracotta red type of barrel clay tile. So again, in this specific instance, and considering the architecture and the location, I do believe the roof is prominent, even with the hedge in the front of the building. However, I think given that it is a more modern interpretation of a Mediterranean style, I would be able to support the project at this time.
Thank you. Joyce?
I don't believe the new roofing material is compatible with the style of architecture. I understand that we have a modern interpretation of Mediterranean here, but I found it to be stark. I also found, just as my colleague said, that the roof line is not, that there is some, the roof line is visible, the tiles are visible, they're not really hidden, because of the second story of the roof pitch. So I would not be in support of this application. I don't think it's appropriate.
Okay, and my thought, I echo the comments that were made by Judy as well as Kevin. Under the norm of a typical Spanish iteration, I could not see this at all. But this is a Mediterranean, it's a slightly different variation on a theme, if you will, and so given the circumstances of the location and where it is and the vegetation and everything else, the design of the home, I could support that. Do we have a motion?
Go ahead, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion.
If you could add barrel tile to the...
Sure. I make a motion to approve design review case number DRC 14-45 at 2131 South Oaknall Avenue with the proposed barrel clay tile roof in the coloration proposed of Carmel blend, 2 pieces.
I'll second that.
Okay, we can take a roll call, please.
Committee Member Batnige?
No.
Committee Member Johnson Brody?
Yes.
Vice Chair Chang?
Yes.
Chair Brody?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you. Let's move on to item number 2. Do you have a staff report on that, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Item number 2 is case number DRC 19-1, located at 2730 Lombardi Road, and the applicant is requesting to replace an existing steel lattice support column with a new wood column at the front entry and replace an existing window along the front. The proposed change is minimal, and staff finds that the new wood column and new wood window would be consistent with the home and would still maintain compatibility with the legal neighborhood and recommends approval.
Okay, do you have any questions of staff on this one?
I just have one for the representative. Was there materials for it? Because they talk about there will be new tile at the entry, but I don't see anything attached to the application.
The applicant said he would provide those tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions of staff? Okay, not seeing any. Is the applicant or applicant's representative present? Yes, sir. If you'd come forward, please. Just give me your name and address.
My name is David Chong. My address is 905 North Avenue 66, Los Angeles 90042.
Okay.
I have the tile sample here.
All right. If you could kindly pass it on to Judy. Thank you. Do you have any statements to make? You just want to be available to answer
I just
questions?
there's not really much to say, so.
Okay, very well. Any questions of the applicant?
I just have one. You've shown us as like size, because there's no shown design of how you will lay the tile at the front door. Will it be in squares? Will it be very large, long pieces, of which this is a slice? What is the design or size?
I'm not sure. I'm not the interior designer. If I had known, I would have brought the.
So let me just make sure
Yeah.
I'm clear, because I may not have gotten it from a staff report accurately.
Okay.
Is the tile entry on the inside? Because that's none of my business.
Oh, no, it's on the outside.
It's on the outside, that's what I thought, okay, so it is our business.
Yeah, I actually don't know it offhand.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant's representative? Thank you. Anyone here to speak for or against or about the proposal? I don't see any hands raised. Kevin, your turn.
Thank you. I think it's a modest request. I think the requested changes are going to be compatible with the neighborhood as well as with itself, and I feel that the changes will in fact improve the overall facade of the home, so I'd be able to support the project.
Thank you, Joyce.
Yeah, I feel the same. This is an extremely modest project, and it seems to me that it's going to improve the facade a little bit.
And Judy?
As it relates to the window and the new lattice support column, I'm totally in favor of both of those as designed. I think they enhance the house. My only reticence is that the actual sample of the tile is a very contemporary or modern tile, and this is a very traditional neighborhood and a very traditional house. So I just voiced that I do not think that that is compatible with the house.
Yeah, I take a different point of view on that, and I agree with Kevin and Joyce. I think it is. I think Judy raised a good point on how will it be essentially put into effect. But given all things, I could support it. So do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve design review of case number DRC 19-1, 2730 Lombardi Road as presented.
I'll second.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a roll call, please.
Committee Member Batnage,
Yes.
Committee Member Johnson Brody,
Yes.
Vice Chair Chang,
Yes.
Chair Brody,
Yes.
motion carries.
The next item is 1675 West Drive. And we have a staff report on that, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Item number 3 is case number DRC 19-10, and the applicant is requesting approval for a second-story addition and exterior modifications to the existing two-story home. And staff finds that the project would be a suitable addition to the existing structure and would not create any major privacy impacts. The structure to the north is an administrative use office building, and the structure to the south, the proposed second-floor balcony would simply face the neighbor's garage structure, and it would impose any sort of visibility concerns. The proposed exterior modifications would help enhance the existing home and reintroduce more pronounced Spanish-style features on the structure, so staff recommends approval of the project tonight.
Okay, do you have any questions of staff? I'm not hearing any, so we'll just move on from there. Is the applicant or applicant's representative present? Well, come on forward, if you would. Are you the applicant or applicant's representative?
We are the applicant's representative.
Okay, give me your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Leonardo Lanconia. I'm with Chelsea Design and Construction. And we're representing, our address is 4529 Angeles Crest Highway in La Cañada, Suite 103.
Thank you. All right, you have some show and tell there.
A little bit. We'll make it quick. I think you're familiar with the property, so we won't linger very much. I think the one thing that we would like to stress is that this property has been rather neglected and abandoned for a while. And it's almost at the beginning right next to the library and the administrative building for the school. Right on West Drive, which is very close to Huntington and West. So it almost becomes the entryway to a beautiful neighborhood. And unfortunately, it's been in disrepair. So all the changes that we're trying to do are really to bring up the house to improve some conditions, particularly waterproofing damage that has occurred in the property because of things that should have been addressed and they never were. So to the point, one of the things that we're doing in the front. As you can see, this is the existing house, and this is what we're proposing. It's almost identical. The changes are rather subtle. There's an existing concrete deck that was added at some point, and it was clearly added. And when you look at the close-up, and if you've actually been there, you realize that it wasn't properly poured. It was just poured against the siding. There's no waterproofing there. There's clearly damage and of intrusion, water intrusion going against the house. And more importantly, aesthetically, possibly, the column proportions have completely been thrown out of whack because this height is barely about 6'6", and when you're there, you feel very squatty. That's because the steps were added without any concern for what it was doing to the house. Clearly, at some point, there were some steps in the house. So our proposal is simple: just remove that entire deck, lower the door, and shift the steps at the moment inside the house in the little vestibule, and then bring the door into view, which right now is hidden even from the street, and bring the arches back to compliance so they actually restore the proportions of the original house. And the second thing is the roof line. Right now, it doesn't extend all the way to the second story, which is obviously what it should do. It stops right there. The edge of the house is sort of right here. So it creates a bit of a trough, a flat trough that happens to run right along that front. And that's created a tremendous amount of water because the water has nowhere to go. It's running to the sides, but the slope is clearly not enough. So what we're doing is very simply, you can see it's slightly darkened, is to extend that roof line to the house, raising the windows ever so slightly just to make sure that we maintain that clearance. But it doesn't affect the house. It maintains and it restores it, I think, beautifully. And the way we're trying to fix that concern is to carry the same intent to the house, to the north side of the house, which right now also has a flat roof. So you can see that entire flat roof is everything from this point all the way to the back. And it's a nightmare. It's leaking all over inside the house. And even facing it, as you can see, it's not really, it's almost as if the house right now has a front and they neglected the side and they just abandoned it, which sometimes is very typical and contractor grade stuff. So what we're doing is extending that roof at the same slope, same pitch, all the way to the back to really engage in the transition, because there's actually a steep transition between the first and the second floor. I would say about easily 10 feet. So this would allow for that roof to again die on the second floor and engage this facade in a much more attractive way, which also relates to the library and the administrative buildings that you have next door. In addition to that, you can see that there's an entire flat facade over there along this side, which, and the setback here is about 11 feet to the property line. So it's actually quite a nice yard. It's not one of these 5-foot alleys. So we are planning to introduce a side access to it. And in doing so, it breaks up the facade and articulates it a little better. And that brings us to the second story. The only addition that we're asking is a very small portion of about 40 square feet or so in this area. It's literally continues the existing second floor, so it doesn't extend anywhere beyond that. But it breaks, right now the facade comes to here, breaks about 3 feet, and then it continues again. So all we're doing is shifting this break to the back and adding that. What it does interior-wise is it allows us for more room for the master suite. But in terms of the massing on the exterior, it balances the proportions since we have the door here now. Instead of having this very front-loaded massing on the front and then a break and a very heavy, long, flat facade in the back, we're actually balancing that volume with the opening below and allowing for that articulation to still exist, but more proportional on the facade. And finally, on the back, this back porch actually was always a balcony, even though we're calling it an additional balcony. In reality, the balcony's there. But this is one of the most egregious things that was done to the house. You can see the back facade and what we're proposing. There was clearly originally an open balcony. But as you can see from the other photo, all those windows are aluminum. The windows throughout the house are wood windows, which is obviously what you would find in a Spanish house. These are aluminum windows, not only here, but in the actual enclosure inside. And the deck itself it was enclosed almost like a sun porch of sorts. But it's not in keeping with the house. Clearly the massing has nothing to do with the style or the identity of the house. So what we're doing is removing all the aluminum windows, replacing it instead with 3 more traditional French doors, all in wood, keeping with the style of the house, and just opening the balconies. And to the back, there will be wrought iron rails, which are typical, again, of Spanish, and they match the existing iron, which we're not changing throughout the house. And on the sides, we are still keeping the privacy to the south and to the north by articulating the faces, you can see on your side, with this sort of reveal, which it's almost like a little blinder on the side of the house, which just still gives you a peek, but at the same time provides privacy to the neighbor.
Sure.
And that's really the main intent. Everything else is small tweaks. We're doing major interior renovations, so we're doing the kitchen, and obviously we're upgrading the interior. And if anything, the house right now is 6 bedrooms, so we're dropping it to 5 bedrooms. So we're losing a bedroom in the process, but we believe that the intent is to actually make the house more livable and in a modern way than just simply give volume and quantity of bedrooms at this point.
Okay.
Can
Thank
I
you.
see that?
Yeah.
Just the one that you're on right now?
I wanted to see that.
You want me to hold there? Are you okay?
Okay, I just wanted to see I must have missed that in the phone. Thank you.
Okay, any questions of the applicant's representative?
I have a question regarding the back ADA ramp and the stairs leading up to the side entrance. Do you have any image or proposal of what that material is and what it looks like? I see the shading or the dashed lines of where the proposed railing would be.
The ramp is right there.
You're right. And do you have? But there's presumably going to be railing.
A railing, yes. And
So do you have any?
the intent is to match, even though it's not drawn in the...
That's right. That's why I'm asking the question.
Is to match the railing that we're going to locate on the second floor, so the language will carry. So just very simple verticals.
That'd
You can see vertical
is that
slabs.
wrought iron?
Yeah, right. With a top bar and a lower bar, and that's it. It's very, very simple.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You added the number of new, beautiful, and bravo new to the house. And this is what you're doing to it, and each of the architectural details enhanced this. I'm really excited by the plans. Just a very quick question on lighting. I didn't see any lighting, and you've added some doors.
Lighting and sorry, what kind
Just
of...
lighting.
In general?
Yeah, I mean, exterior
Oh,
lighting.
exterior lighting.
Exterior lighting, like next to a door. Like if you've added a door, but there's no light, or if maybe
You know-
I can't see it, but it wasn't on the plan.
To be candid, there will probably be some, but that's something that we haven't addressed at this early stage of development.
Okay.
So we'll be happy to produce that if that's a condition. But up to you. Most likely we're going to have Spanish lanterns, and we're going to keep them very typical, of course, and true to the house. But I'd lie to you, we haven't selected them, so I'm not sure what they are.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, not hearing any, let's close anyone here to speak for or against the ballot proposal? Not seeing any, we'll close the public aspect of the hearing, and I think we're at the point now of Joyce.
Yeah, this was, in terms of compatibility, this project will make the house much more compatible. It'll right a lot of wrongs, if we can call it that have occurred to this house over the years, and we can restore it to its architectural compatibility. And I think it's going to be therefore more compatible with the neighborhood as well. I was a little hesitant about the privacy issue because of the balcony, but as you explained it a little further, and as I saw the call out, and I'm always nervous when we don't receive definitive support from a neighbor, and the only neighbor that would be affected by this is apparently a tenant who I think just on behalf of the owner submitted something that said neither support nor oppose, and I'm always nervous about that, but I'm convinced today, now that I've seen this presentation with her, that its impact on privacy to that neighbor would be acceptable, and certainly not have a major impact on privacy, so I would be able to support the project as presented today.
Okay, thank you. Judy?
Yeah, I mean, as I started to share, I mean, I think that the design for this house is not only a better version of the bad things that have happened to it over time, but it's a better version of the house as it was ever designed. So I really do appreciate the attention to detail and the Spanish details, especially on some of the facades. The only thing I was just going to add, and could possibly be a condition, is I've not sat here and made an affirmative vote on any property that didn't have a very specified lighting plan and the exact manufacturer and the sizes of the lights, because we just haven't. If there was nothing new on the front of the house, because I do see there is an existing light, but I don't know if the intent is to keep that, and if it's truly going to be on the back, and it was going to be to match it, and the staff to look at it, that might be a consideration, but I've not been a part of that in the last 3 years, so that'd be my only concern, is I don't know what the lighting plan is.
Kevin?
Yeah, I would also just say that the architect applaud the applicant for being very intentional about improving the overall home and staying true to the original intent of the architecture and style. I think the proposed changes are going to improve the home. I think it does, in fact, as stated, make the home more compatible with itself and the neighborhood overall. With respects to the lighting plan, considering to the north, it's the district office, and to the south, it's presumably in line with where I think staff report stated is where the neighbor's garage is. I don't have too much concern about the lighting. I think I'd be okay with a condition that it be reviewed by staff, and that just to verify that the lumen output and the type of glass used would be respectful of the neighborhood and to the side. Otherwise, I would be able to support the project based upon those conditions.
Yeah, I voiced the same opinions as have been stated here already. Went out there. This is an awful home the way it presently stands, and I'm very pleased that there was a very significant attempt to bring it into line from an architectural point of view with the neighborhood and within itself, actually. So, do we have a motion?
Yes, I'll move to approve design review case number DRC 17-, design review case number DRC 19-10-1675 West Drive on the condition that the applicant work with staff to approve a compatible lighting that is appropriate in terms of the lumens and the type of glass used.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a roll call, please.
Committee Member Benage,
Yes.
Committee Member Johnson Brody,
Yes.
Vice Chair Chang,
Yes.
Chair Brody,
Yes.
motion carries.
Moving on to item number 4, which is 979 Roxbury Road. Wait till everyone exits here.
Or do I give that to Christine?
Do you need the sample for your records?
Okay.
Or do you want to do what?
No, one of
There's something written on the side. I don't know if that's.
and then. Okay.
Okay, on the 979 Roxbury Road, give us that report, please.
Thank you, Chair. The item is design review case number DRC 17-54 at 979 Roxbury Road. The applicant is requesting to construct a first and second story addition and remodel to an existing two-story structure. The addition is visible from the street. Staff finds the addition, the second story addition, compatible with the rest of the neighborhood and with the structure itself. However, staff is concerned about the proposed uncovered balcony on the second floor that also has a spiral staircase access into the backyard as well, because this feature is not found in the general neighborhood, and it would be uncommon to have dual access to an exterior living area in this case. Staff additionally is concerned about the new shutter to be added for the addition portion of the home. The current existing shutters are undersized in width. Should the committee approve the project, staff recommends the committee condition the project to provide new shutters that are appropriate in size, or at least size that are the same as the existing shutters, so they are consistent. Thank you.
Any questions of staff? You're not hearing any. Is the applicant or applicant's representative present? Yeah, step forward, sir. Just give your name and address.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. My name is Kay Malai.
Committee members.
Committee members. My name is Kay Malai. I'm the project designer. Address 8748 Valley Boulevard, Rosemead, Suite K. The owner is on a business trip so that he cannot attend the meeting, so I'm representing him, answering any question you may have.
Okay.
This project is on Roxbury, and as the planner says, this is the majority. There's quite a number of two-story houses, especially right next left and right to this house. And I have this 3D rendering here showing the future finished design. Let me step back. The purpose of the addition is to modernize the interior space and at the same time keep the characters and the charms of this house. So for all the exterior materials, we are planning to use from top to the bottom, from the roof to the foundation, the exterior. We will custom make all the materials to match the existing, such as from the top to the roof. We'll propose to use a fire retardant cedar wood shake to match the existing wood shake. We're not going to replace it with any P-approved roofing material, so that to maintain the light look of the entire structure, because the roof really contributes to a lot of the visual massing. And for the for the front, this house has two portions. The upper, the second story, is finished with wood siding, solid wood siding. And we will, for the addition across the front, we have a little study room over the garage. I can show you. I believe all the members has visited this site, and I happen to have a sales brochure from a couple years ago, which there's like a missing piece here over the garage, and the back portion of it is supposed to be brought up all the way to the front in the beginning. Like you look at the right hand side and the left hand side, they have a full two-story height facade. By adding this study room over the garage, it would complete the elevation. And when we design this, we try to make this a minimal change to the streetscape. That's why we bring this E-line all across with this roof dip down a little bit so that we don't have too much change on the roof line. And for the interior space, we're maintaining 4 bedrooms. The addition is to create more interior common space, because the owner feel that the kids are going to school, they're teenagers, they want them to have more interaction in the house rather than each one stay in their room. So we have a new family room downstairs and a common teen area on the second floor. And the open study room over the garage is for the kids, that they have their own computer at the location. When the parents pass by, they know what they're doing. And there are two items that the staff have brought up for the deck in the back and the spiral stairs. Those are nice features for the family, but then those are not 100% necessary. So we are neutral on that aspect. And in fact, we have made some options for that.
Yeah, we're not here on options.
Okay.
Okay, so, the point that was made by staff is the west elevation.
Right.
Okay, and I think you responded to that. Does anyone have any questions of this representative? Okay, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Anyone here to speak for, against, or about this proposal? Yeah, I see some movement, but no hands raised. Okay, well, I guess that means nobody. So we'll close the public aspect of the hearing, begin with Judy.
I'm sorry, I actually had a question, but I didn't get a chance to ask it.
Well, go ahead and ask. I'm sorry.
I just have a question. Because we don't really have a 3D view of the back, I just wanted some clarity on the balcony. How many feet is it out from the doors to the railing? And is it truly enclosed on both sides, so there's no visibility? Because that's what it looks like on one of your pictures, so there is no privacy issue. So I just want to really understand what we're talking about.
Okay. Thank you for asking the question. I think I forgot to present the balcony, okay, the second story, okay, shape of this house. Okay, this is the original floor plan. Second floor, first floor. This is the original. The yellow shape, the yellow portion is existing house. It's the L shape. For this, the white portion is a enclosed patio. On the second floor, on top of the first floor, enclosed patio. So it creates more privacy issue for the neighbors. In fact, for the new addition, you see the red portion. This is the study room over the garage. This is another bedroom replacing this enclosed patio. If you look at the floor plan, along this wall, this is a walk-in closet and a bathroom. So there will be just a very tiny functional window looking over the neighbor. It's probably a 2x2 or 2x3 window. So with this, okay, a U-shaped addition, it will provide more privacy for both side neighbors. And for this, for the second floor, deck, the entire depth is around 15 feet. With these two wings extending from the main house, it's like around 7 feet. So pretty much like half of the deck is come out further than the two end wall of the two wings. The situation in this property is there's a huge oak tree right in the middle that we're not going to touch, okay? And also along the other two sides, we have very mature vegetation, trees, okay, is serving as screening trees right now.
Do you have any images of the backyard with the trees? No.
I don't think I have the image here, but then, okay, I have this 3D rendering here. This is the streetscape. We're comparing the two neighbors. Our plate height is compatible, our width is compatible, and this is some angles we do Photoshop. Okay, after we did the 3D rendering, we Photoshop this. This is what it will look on the street. This is the rear. And this is also from the other side, the northeast corner. The tree is somewhere here in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we outside the protected tree zone, and as you can see from here, and here. And the second story is further step back from the first floor, from the back.
It's tree backyard. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions of Mr. All right. And we close the public aspect of the hearing. I'll open it up because he did speak more. Anyone else wish to say anything about the matter?
We were just here to hear what he was going to say.
Okay, very well. Thank you. All right, we're closing once again the public aspect of the hearing. More thoughts, Judy?
About the reverse, or are you asking if I have any more feedback?
No.
Overall. Okay,
overall.
thank you for the clarification. Well, I'll start with, I feel like what you're doing to the front of the house enhances the house. I'm very clear on what the study would look like, and I think that's an enhancement, and I think that it evens out the front of the house with some symmetry, so I appreciate what you've done there. I can understand the need for some of the interior elements that then impact some of the windows and things that you're recommending doing. And I don't think that the window placement provides any privacy issues. I think that what you're doing is compatible with itself, and I think it is compatible with the neighborhood. I think the only concern I have, I'd like to hear my colleagues speak about it, is a 15-foot balcony upstairs is really egregiously large, but I do understand, and you did answer my question, it is in the middle of a U, and it is mostly shielded, and there's a really large tree that is protected by the state of California called an oak. So I also know that only 2 people of neighbors put in a complaint, one of whom said, please don't remove the oak tree, which is not, it's against the law, it's not sick. The other letter we did not receive, so I know there's one more objection. I do not have a copy of it, so I don't know what they were opposing. But that was my only concern, is the actual size of the balcony. But I know that it's really tucked in there, and there's a very large tree. Otherwise, I thought that the only other item I would have mentioned is really my own contradictory thoughts. I agree on the front of the house, shutters should always be, if they were to be functioning closing, to close the window. These are very small. But because they're grandfathered in and pre-existing, and they fit with how you've got the design now underneath of the roof arches, I don't see how that would change and not make it look worse. So when we go to the staff report, there's a new set of shutters on the back, on the south elevation of the house that they're requesting that you make larger, but the reality is, unless we're doing all of the shutters to match, which maybe that was their recommendation, I don't know why we'd want one shutter looking larger than the others, and I'm not sure how the other shutters on the front of the house would change with the current setup with the roof. So that is a question. And then if you were to put some French doors in upstairs, and you were to have some type of existing or modified size balcony, there should be a light. I know you've got a Bridgeport lighting system indicated, but there is no light next to doors upstairs, so I think that was kind of scary. My 10 cents.
Thank you. Kevin?
I would agree with my colleague regarding the front addition. I think it actually does improve the facade of the home. It does give the home better balance. And I think it's respectful of the privacy of neighbors, considering just the minimal number of windows being added. So I would be able to support that addition. With regards to the rear and specifically the walk deck, I would like to suggest that the walk deck be reduced in size, but then I noticed that that is in fact the roof of the new proposed breakfast area. So I can understand the need for that addition. However, with the kind of the pop out, in order to accommodate the actual spiral staircase to access the rear, I would ask that be removed from the project. With that condition, I'd be able to support the project, but I think the pop out with the stairwell needs to be excluded from the project.
Okay, thank you, Joyce.
Okay, I'm not sure. So you're saying that the balcony should be reduced, or I'm not?
They would be reduced in this portion. So this portion out here would have to be removed. So this piece remains. This is the jut out in order to do the roof of the new breakfast.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I am in agreement about the front addition. I think the overall effect of the front addition is to actually improve the architectural compatibility, the balance, the symmetry, everything that has been said. I am a bit concerned, like when I see a flat roof element, on a roof plan, it's sort of, it can be a red flag because that can be an indicator of an overly complicated roof design and inappropriate massing. But I definitely see the back staircase and the back balcony as a privacy issue and a compatibility issue. And I would want to see that eliminated from the project, and the applicant has indicated the willingness to do so, which I'm glad to hear, because to me that makes creates a big problem in the back. Regardless of whether or not the current neighbor can see, oak trees can disappear, they can die, and we need to be mindful not of this house for the next 5 years, but the next 20 years, and what future, not only for this neighbor, but for future neighbors. I think this is a big problem. of the application, but as I noted, the applicant seems willing to eliminate that. I think the window treatment and shutter issues should be addressed as the staff noted. I think given that there are some issues floating around, more than a few, I definitely think that this project is on the right track. And I think given that there are some issues to address, I would want to see these addressed by the applicant, so I would be in support of continuing the project.
And my thought, I think in part agrees with what has been said. I don't see the balcony and spiral staircases being part of this kind of design iteration at all. It's definitely an outlier with regard to a design point of view. The rest of the project is acceptable. I think Judy brings up an excellent point about the front shutters in their size and confirmation should be matched throughout. But without the balcony and the spiral staircase, I could support it. Certainly you could do things with the balcony, but I don't think I'd ever be in the camp of supporting an application for a colonial-looking home with a spiral staircase. So that's my thought. We have any kind of a motion or thought?
So just to reiterate what the committee stated, so with the removal of the back stairwell and the back, I guess the back walk-in deck, is that what the consensus is, that's to be excluded?
You mean the spiral staircase?
The spiral staircase, but then there's this additional new walk deck out in this portion, not just that piece, but this piece. So am I hearing that the committee members are opposed to that as well? This piece over here?
Well, I'm not. Well,
Can you go back?
I can live with it.
This piece. So this is a new proposed walk deck. It's calling a new flat roof, but it looks like there's an existing flat roof here with mechanical equipment on top. So they're basically adding this deck over here, which beneath that is presumably the new breakfast room. So I can make a motion. I just wanted to see that there's some type of consensus that.
What's your thought on that?
Well, there's going to have to be a roof on top of the breakfast
Right.
room. The question is now, what is this going to look like? So how do we,
And
again,
it's
not
gonna
our job
be-
to resolve it, but maybe a continuation, as Jerry suggested, would help them resolve that.
Yeah, I would prefer that rather than trying to condition this, because I think we get into sort
Okay,
of
that's a good
muddy
point.
details that we can't really
It's a
resolve.
good point.
So you can make a motion for.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to continue design review case DRC 17-54 979 Roxbury Road.
I'll second.
Okay, do we have a roll call, please? And the continuance would be to when?
Can you with June 5th work?
June 5th with plans due back on
May 27th.
And you understand that the issue is the west elevation?
Yes. Actually, I have a.
Okay, it's all right. Okay, let's do a
He's ready
roll
for
call.
June 5th already.
That's great.
All right.
Committee Member Betnij,
Yes.
Committee Member Johnson Brody,
Yes.
Vice Chair Chang,
yes.
Chair Brody,
Yes,
the motion carries.
okay, very well, thank you. All right, let's go on to item number 5, consideration of the Fellow Lifestyle Series, which used to be known as the 450.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor. I served as Judge Pro Tem. But I'm not Your Honor.
My name is Joe Sinopoli. I'm the RMO and Vice President for Pella Windows and Doors, Southern California. We're located at 3350 East Birch Avenue in Brea. So basically what Pella has done is they eliminated the 450 series name and then went to the lifestyle name. And then what they did by doing that is they created a triple glazed unit. So it's got an extra efficiency of 79% more possibility and the sound transmission. So instead of anything else, what we really wanted you to see is the difference. There really isn't much of a difference in the way the window looks on the outside. So it's still what we call a clad unit. So this is our new, the lifestyle right here. So, and the old one was this one right here.
Yeah, the 450.
Yeah. So you can see that there's really, and the profile is really just about the same. They've made it, this happens to have our the recessed lines in it and all the bells and whistles. But anyway, this is a triple glazed unit. So the idea being is that now it's increased the energy efficiency quite a bit. So as far as San Marino is concerned, I think that they are identical in use.
All right, now, just for staff, we have the Pro Line and the Architect series. These are two higher end, and there is a reason why we approved those. They're high quality.
Yes.
There's a lot of comments about the 450, and when I went on the net on that, I frankly wasn't impressed with the quality aspect. And I think what they did is they wanted to hit a less expensive price point with this, and that's exactly what they did. And
I think
changed
so.
the name. Yeah. So
what they did is they also got, I think they had to get out of that 450 area, and so by doing so, they re-engineered the window.
And of course, the question is, are we going to approve lesser quality at a lower price when we already have Pella Architect and ProLine series approved?
I think the only other concern on my part, being the RMO, was, we have a name change, and I just kind of wanted to clarify that by coming in and talking, because if an inspector comes to our projects and says, what's this lifestyle? I don't know, and he doesn't know the ramifications, and we want to always make sure we cover.
So my question, sorry.
No, please.
My question is for the ones that are on the pre-approved list from Pella, the two series that Chair Brody spoke to, are those triple pane as well, or do they have the option?
They don't have that option.
But is the performance the same as this, or is
This
exceeds
exceeds that performance. This is because it has a triple pane. Go ahead, Mike. Mike is one of our sales consultants.
I'm the main sales rep out here, so I actually brought all three products. You can see this is Lifestyle, this is the 450 series, and this is Architect series.
Okay.
Lifestyle is mainly supposed to be pretty much the same as the 450 series, and the 450 series only has double pane as an option. Architect series can do double pane or triple pane. So with the Lifestyle, now we have basically the ProLine window, but with the addition of being able to do triple pane for increased performance for people that value that more importantly.
So
Architect series.
What I heard was different. I heard that the Architect series can't be in a triple pane, but you're saying
the Architect series can be triple pane.
Okay.
I think also too is the ProLine name gets confused with the 450 name, so that's going by the ProLine. ProLine is no longer going to be available. That's why this line has come out.
This is replacing it, essentially.
This is
and the ProLine is on the pre-approved list?
It's the Architect series and the ProLine are the
So we're losing one of the, let's call it losing,
right.
quote unquote, one of the pre-approved.
And this is essentially
that's correct.
The modern, or the new, not modern, but the new
replacement. The new ProLine.
Yeah.
But it's called Lifestyle.
No, I understand.
So what specifically are the differences between, because I'm sure that there are some differences between the ProLine and the Lifestyle.
Glad you asked. With the double pane, the options are the same. There's a couple, when you move to triple pane, which is an option, you have a couple more added exterior aluminum clad finish color options. Aside from that, it's pretty much the same.
It's aesthetics.
Yeah, then performance just gets better. The grid options, which look like this, the simulated divided lights with spacers or without spacers are the same. It's the exact same stuff. In the lifestyle, just with lifestyle, they renamed it, and this has already gotten plenty of awards, Consumer Digest Best Buy awards as well, and has the option of doing triple pane of people that want that extra sound performance or energy efficiency.
You don't happen to have a section of the lifestyle or the other ones. You only have you don't have a section where we can actually see the construction.
Have you got one out in your car? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We don't. I know the cutout.
That's right. The 45 cross section where we're going to be able to actually see the construction and how each member is.
Is this wood or aluminum clad?
This is
aluminum clad.
They're all aluminum
It's all
clad.
aluminum clad wood windows.
Pardon me?
It's all aluminum clad wood windows. So it's mostly wood. This is the interior. This is the clad exterior.
Okay.
Which
And
Architect Series.
Does the cladding is the cladding done any differently from
No.
from the other one?
It's all the same exact frame depth, everything.
Let me ask staff a question that I think is relatively important. When we approved the Architect Series, did we approve it in all iterations? In other words, double hung, sliding, casement, the whole shot? Okay.
And this comes in that same
Does
scenario.
this come in any other styles or?
It comes in double hung.
No.
Vaguely.
No,
It's the same.
it's the same. So there's no special.
The only option that this one has that the others don't is we have the option for these integrated lines in between the glass, which is one of the options that comes with upgrading to the triple pane.
Integrated lines?
Blinds. Window treatments, sorry.
Oh, blinds, right.
A little
Yeah,
worse.
I saw that.
It's getting late, dehydrated.
So I just want to ask one last clarifying question. So the 450 series is effectively, you're saying this is the 450 series. 450 series is effectively not
That's
being released
correct.
anymore?
It's been discontinued.
And the Pro series is going to be discontinued, or is that going to continue?
Pro line.
The Pro line, sorry.
I think that
There may have been some confusion there, but the Pro line and the 450 series are the same, and they're both it's being discontinued.
So and the Pro line and
And that
450 is on the pre-approved or not?
Just the Pro line.
The Pro line is the
That kind of
450.
contradicts.
So I'm hearing two things. You're saying, I'm hearing from staff that
Yeah.
there's a Pro line and a 450 series. One of which is on our list and one is
Pro
not.
line is on the
Pro
list,
line
450 is
That's
on.
right.
The
But-
Architect Series is on the list.
I understand. But Pell is saying that Pro line and
Is
450
the
are the
450
same.
series. Yeah, it's just the numbers that associate with it.
I think there also the confusion is where we sell it around the country, because we sell.
Pro line you're advertising is a different essentially subset of what you're offering. You have two Architect Series, you have a Pro line series, you have
That's true.
you have this, the lifestyle, and then you drop down to the 250 zone.
Well, see, that where it goes into those other names are, in other words, like for instance, our vinyl line, which of course doesn't come here, but when we sell it at Lowe's, it's called Encompass. And when we sell it through our company, it's called the 250 series. So I know that it's a marketing situation that I'm not familiar with, but I know that names change in relation to the market that it's sold in. So we were approved for Pro Line. In some areas, it's called the 450, but those are interchangeable. Both of those are not going to be ever coming back because they have now been discontinued at the factory. So Pro Line is gone and the 450 is
Mind
gone.
if I just clarify all the products? So Pella has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 product lines total.
Okay.
3 in vinyl, 5 in wood clad, 1 in fiberglass. Obviously, San Marino does not approve fiberglass or vinyl. It's only the wood clad products that we have, which these are all. So when I started with this job 3 years ago, the approved list was Architect Series and Pella Pro Line / 450 Series. Those are the two approved product lines. So
Not 450.
Pella 450 Series and Pro Line is the same product.
Well, yeah, but not the way it's
We have it
advertised.
listed only as
Pro Line.
Right, but what you're saying is.
Right, I
that
get
the
it. It is
name
identical.
not right.
It may as well have also said Pro / Proline or.
I don't know who was here that eventually got that
If you're
approved.
communicating anything, to me at least, it's complete confusion about brand names.
Well, your marketing
I
person.
feel like it was here.
If I was the CEO, that would have happened a long time
Well,
ago.
what I'm concerned about is if we have already a product that's already on the pre-approved list, which I'm hearing is presumptively going to be discontinued, and what you're showing us is replacement of that product, which is actually more efficient with triple pane. I don't see why we would not recommend this on for approval, unless I'm hearing that this is not the same product and we can't consider it.
Yeah, my thought from what I've read is it isn't the same product, but if you're telling us that Proline is discontinued, and that's what you're saying.
Yes,
So what I want to
So if we
absolutely.
deleted Proline
Yes.
and replaced it with this,
That's why we're here.
that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Can I
Yes,
ask a
sir.
question on the Proline and Architect?
Yes.
They both have a bay or bow window.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so we have a carte blanche that any window works, including those two, the existing? That's scary to me. Not both of those.
Gets even more.
I'm also concerned about the
Like, I don't know.
between the glass styles, which have no place in San Marino.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, the grids between the glass. Yeah.
It
Whatever.
should just not be
Yeah.
on any house in San Marino.
What I wanted to, also what I was getting at with the product lines, when I listed them all, is that with the 5 product lines, Architect Series became 2 different ones. I don't know if where
There
these
are
are as
2
far as
Architect Series.
approval. There's a contemporary line, and then there's our Reserve line, which is closer to what has been approved for San Marino. And then there's 2 other lines, Designer Series, which has these blinds inside, and the Pella 450 Series. Those 2 are both discontinued, and now we have the Lifestyle Series. So really all we have now is the Architect Series and the Lifestyle Series.
Well,
So-
Kev, I was just adding on to what you were saying. I understand if one's going away, that we have the opportunity to look at a replacement if it truly is, and I don't know it, to be a replacement that is fair. But I think that there are some, even though we have existing things on the list, if they're going away, we have a chance to make that better or tighter. And my 2 things would be that we would have a special exception, where they would have to come before the DRC if they wanted a bay or no window, if we were to consider this up to the planning commission. And then I would agree that the grills between the 2, aluminum grills between the 2 plates of glass would be also denied. So those would be the 2 conditions that I would want if we were to consider this to be appropriate for San Marino.
Well, there's also, now that I'm looking at the grill patterns, there's a lot of options for grill patterns. There's custom grill patterns, there's top row, there's 9 light prairie, and really, those would have to be on a case by case as well. Even the top row would be on a case by case or across. No, so the more we get into this, more it's like, and so I guess I also wouldn't mind, replacing a like with like, but I'm not really. Yeah, and I'd like to look into this further, frankly, and look at technical specifications and details, and have a look at those cross sections that you're talking about to see. I want to know more. So I wouldn't mind coming back to this later, maybe in 6 months when we can see it on a house as well, and.
But if we were to sell it, then we wouldn't be on the list.
No, she's
It would
saying
be-
like we could drive to Pasadena, or we could
Oh,
drive to
oh,
Arcata.
oh,
Someplace
oh, oh.
close where we could actually see it, see a sample of
Okay.
the cross-section, and...
I can get the cross
And
section
get a
like
little
in
clarity.
weeks.
Well, I guess a little bit more
And
than
the
that.
stats,
Yes.
and all the information on it, which, well, don't put
Okay.
it on me now.
Okay. No, I've got it. I've got all the
All right.
stats.
Well, I'd like to see what the
Well, we
pro
can see
line
the
was
full
and what
brochure.
this is,
Okay.
so we know what we're doing here.
So is it a question of performance, or what exactly
It's
is it?
a question of quality and performance. And we'd like to see all the factors that come into play. And if it truly is a marketing ploy to replace Proline with this, and I'm not reading that because I did go on the net and look at that, and I didn't get that at all. I got this
When is
is,
Proline actually going away, or is it
It's
gone?
already
it's gone.
It's already gone.
They can't
And how long has this
manufacture
product
it.
been on the market?
Since April 11th.
That's really good. When do you expect to have it up on the house?
Well, we're working.
I've already
on it.
sold some jobs that haven't been installed.
Okay,
Okay.
so in the next
What-
6 months.
I don't know if they're even
Yes.
close to San Marino, in LA.
Oh,
Well,
okay. I can get a cross section easily. I can get the stats easily.
I'd like to see, I mean, when you do come back, I'd like to see a cross-section between the existing pro line or the discontinued pro line and what this is, to see that they are in fact equals, if that's what we're hearing, as well as the rest of the specifications on the two products. We want, because if what we're being told is it's a like-for-like exchange, it's just that this is a new marketing name, we want to validate that is in fact the case.
Okay.
Or if it's even better, right? That's the hope, is what you're bringing is actually a better product and either constructed equal or better. I mean,
so I just want to make sure I have it in my mind what you're looking for. You want a cross section of a pro line?
Yes.
Okay.
As
we'll
well
give you
as
a cross section of a lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be
and the brochure describing
Yeah, the full brochure.
the specs on both items.
Okay.
The specs, the options, all of that.
And if you can give us one or two places somewhere in the San Gabriel Valley that we can visit.
With the lifestyle installed.
Correct.
Okay, beautiful.
All right?
Okay.
And so I'm going to make a motion that we deny it be placed on the list, but this doesn't prevent you from coming back in, X number of months from now and have all this stuff and we have a redo of this.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, super. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I make a motion to deny the consideration.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a roll call on it, please.
Committee Member Batney?
Yes.
Committee Member Johnson Brody?
Yes.
Vice Chair Chang?
yes.
Chair Brody?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, and now we're going to get a little bit of I guess a primer on the CEQA. And do you have that report, by the way?
This item is really intended for as an internal discussion item. Staff is not providing any memo or staff report for that reason. As you know, recently an item came before this committee, and there was discussion about whether or not that property is a potential historic resource in the city. Following that meeting, staff received a historic assessment report from a certified historian, and that report identified the structure as a potential historic resource under national and state criteria. And for that reason, the project will now have to go through a review process that's dictated by the California Environmental Quality Act. So staff want to let the committee know about that as an update following that hearing. Although that item is not on the agenda tonight, the item will be coming back to you in June. And along with the typical design review staff report, you will also receive a initial checklist and a negative declaration in your packet. And those items are required by CEQA.
What's a negative declaration?
So whenever an application comes before a committee or commission where you are asked to make a discretionary decision, decide at a public hearing. There are two types of project, ones that are completely exempt or exempt categoric under certain circumstances, others that may have the potential of having significant environmental impact. Those are the two outcomes.
Under CEQA?
Under CEQA,
Okay.
correct.
So most of the things that we see have an exemption.
Always exempt,
under CEQA, right?
Usually exempt,
Okay.
yes. So this is, I believe, the first time since I've been with the city where a project that has to go through additional review under CEQA. So this will be the first one to come in front
And
of this
we'll be
committee.
given all the materials.
Correct.
And documentation.
Correct.
To make a decision.
Yes. However, your decision remains with the design review finding that's codified in the code. And a decision-making body does not necessarily approve those additional documents. You would have to adopt those documents.
Right.
You don't approve it. You would approve the project itself, but the negative declaration And the initial study, you don't approve it.
Oh,
You would
adopt it. I
adapt
understand.
those
Yes.
documents.
Yeah.
And the intent of those documents and the intent of going through this process is for disclosure, for public information. So these documents that will be provided in your staff report will be available starting this Friday for public review.
And what are the documents?
They are initial study, which is a checklist that have different elements. I believe it has about